The city of Thunder Bay is preparing to reimagine the waterfront festival grounds. Good evening, I'm Haley Perot. Thank you for joining us. The festival area at Marina Park will be closed during the entire summer of 2027. The major redesign of the park space should be ready to start after this year's Wake the Giant Music Festival. The work to reverse the angle of the concert area would be halted next summer before the main overhaul begins in 2 years' time. Justin Hardy has more.
Thunder Bay's most used summer area will be getting a new layout starting this fall. The schematic design of the entire site is now complete, following a number of engagement sessions. Changes will include a flipping of the entire festival area to better accommodate larger concerts and events, and sound dampening measures to reduce noise traveling into the city. The project also leaves open room for possible expansions, like a potential dock to allow festival entry by boat. City landscape architect Guy Walters says they're now finalizing the Phase 1 construction tender package, which will be going out later this month.
Phase 1 will see shoulder seasons end of year 2025 and spring of 2026, and then we'll be putting our shovels away until after all the event season of 2026. And then the same thing will happen after Wake the Giant in 2026. We will have our second tender out for construction, which will carry us through into the spring.
In 2027, construction will go right through the summer, meaning that those festivals that normally are held down here at the Marina Festival area will need to either find other accommodations or hold off for the season. Walter says that the city is working with some of them to try to find the best solution.
We are actually in discussions with other groups that could possibly host some of the events, but also some of the operators are looking at an opportunity to take the year off and go after other funding streams and to help grow their events, because the idea with opening up the future design, the future festival areas, to have higher capacity, and a lot of these event organizers need to plan for that.
There is currently no final price tag on the project, but the city did secure government funding last year, with a total of $5 million set aside for the project.
The biggest part is upgrading the infrastructure to support not only the current level of programming and operations and events, but actually a higher level of it.
Justin Hardy, TBT News.
The final touches are wrapping up on Thunder Bay's $11 million North Core streetscape project, and the restaurant patios along Red River Road are starting to open up for the summer season. The upgrades aim to boost foot traffic and support local businesses with a more pedestrian-friendly downtown experience. Jaden Billick has the story.
The streetscape project saw the complete reconstruction and reimagining of the downtown portions of Red River Road and Court Street over the past 2.5 years. Construction crews can be seen finishing final tweaks, and Waterfront BIA Executive Director Kara Pratt says after all of the waiting, the businesses are looking forward to a finished project along Red River Road.
They are going to be closed for just a little while longer while they finish up the last of putting the lockstone together, fixing any things that shifted last year, and putting in the trees. So they want to keep their workers safe.
Meanwhile, restaurants like Norteño's Cantina are taking full advantage of the extra space gained from the sidewalk expansion, and customers are already enjoying their meals outside. Manager Ricardo Collar Morales has seen the project from start to finish and says since opening their patio a week ago, it's great to finally see his customers outside once again in our beautiful city.
Not only we're like a multicultural city and a worldwide city, but also we can be an amazing looking city, you know? So we look as any other big city in the world, and that's amazing. We're planning to do a little bit of decoration to make it look nice, make it look photogenic for pictures online, but also we are planning to expand it a little bit further and have more people to come in.
Awesome. And folks using the patio for the first time this season say they're loving the new outside atmosphere.
We are loving every moment of the sunshine and the beautiful area that they have built.
Perfect. Do you think the wait for the beautiful streetscape project was worth it?
Absolutely. This is great for the city. People will come out and money will be spent.
I think it looks great. I think it's going to be an awesome bump in summer. Everything's nice and flat now. All these bricks have been laid by hand, one by one. And I think that they did some pretty quality work, and I think that it's going to be worth the wait. I think it's going to be a good summer. Fantastic. I can't wait to drink some beers on the patio. It's going to be great.
Well, it's safe to say that these downtown businesses are very excited to see the downtown core completely reopened to traffic very soon, and the people here are excited to continue enjoying the new look experience. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
Lakehead University is hosting hundreds of evacuees from Sandy Lake First Nation as they wait for flights to southern Ontario. Thunder Bay is acting as a hub for the remote community, which is being threatened by a huge forest fire. Around 2,000 of the 2,600 residents in Sandy Lake have been evacuated, and the Canadian military was brought in on Sunday to provide flights. Many of those people have been flown to Thunder Bay and are staying here for 24 to 48 hours while they await commercial flights to other cities like Peterborough. Lakehead officials aren't allowing media on campus to speak with evacuees at this time, but they confirm the university has been hosting up to 530 people at a time from Sandy Lake. Their student residences are mainly vacant at this time of year. An LU spokesperson says they're grateful they can open their doors and act as good neighbors during this difficult time. Arts, crafts, and sports are being provided for children while they wait and shelter here. After being hidden behind plywood for nearly 5 years, a statue of Sir John A. Macdonald is back in the open air outside of Queen's Park. It had been covered since it was vandalized in the summer of 2020 as Canadians were confronted with the grim realities of the country's residential school system. CTV's Siobhan Morris explains.
After 5 years in a plywood box, a statue of Canada's first Prime Minister at the edge of Queen's Park is back in open air. Work to remove hoarding and scaffolding began Wednesday morning. The monument to Sir John A. Macdonald boxed up after being defaced in July 2020, a summer of racial reckoning and coming to terms with Canada's legacy of residential schools, a system Macdonald was an architect of.
He's a controversial figure, and he is also, the issue surrounding residential schools is still very raw for many people.
Last month, a legislative committee voted to clean Macdonald and dismantle the box. There was no consensus on how to reflect on a chapter that can't be escaped.
I think it's frankly an exciting day to be reminded and acknowledge our history, and yes, history good and bad.
Ontario's only MPP from a First Nation notes the statue's return lands during Indigenous History Month. A few weeks ago, he described Macdonald's likeness as much more than a figure of bronze and granite.
It's a statue of oppression. It's a statue of colonialism. It's a statue of Indian residential schools.
While the Speaker stresses the statue isn't going anywhere, discussions with Indigenous Ontarians will continue about changes or additions.
Have something on site that speaks to the pain that they suffered because of the residential school system, but also celebrates everything good about the contributions Indigenous communities have made.
A permanent plaque acknowledging history can't be changed, not sufficient for this woman watching on.
There should be more story, like a visual story about why people are so angry about him.
Others glad to see Macdonald overlooking downtown Toronto once again.
Hopefully it's a sign of protests being a little more cool.
The statue has a new protective coating to repel paint and is under the round-the-clock watch of legislative security. Skelly says she welcomes protests for people to share their hurt.
But we have to do it peacefully, and we have to do it respectfully, and we have to do it within the law.
There's no specific timeline for that consultation with Indigenous communities about how they'd like to see themselves represented at Queen's Park. But the Speaker says she'd like to see some sort of agreement as soon as possible. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
This week is National Blood Donor Week, which celebrates new and longtime blood and plasma donors. Thunder Bay's Plasma Center opened its doors almost 3 months ago, and Canadian Blood Services' Jennifer Rose says the community has really stepped up.
We're excited about that. They've been, new donors coming in daily to book and to find out about plasma donations and try it out. So that's fabulous news.
Rose wants to thank everyone who's donated so far, saying they're the most important part of Canada's lifeline. There are currently more than 400,000 donors across the country, but with the growing need, Canadian Blood Services would like to see that grow to 1 million donors over the next 5 years. Rose emphasizes the importance of donating plasma.
Plasma actually is something that we see the need over the next 5 years increasing by almost 50%. The plasma that is donated in Thunder Bay is actually made into medications, the most common one being immunoglobulin. And those are transfused into patients, or given to patients, I guess, not transfused, given to patients who have a variety of things like autoimmune diseases, neurological disorders, that type of thing.
More information about donating plasma can be found on the Canadian Blood Services website. Students from La Vérendrye High School celebrated the completion of a months-long project this week. The class and faculty launched a traditional birch bark canoe, which they built by hand. TBT's Holden Dougal has the story.
It was a beautiful day in Amethyst Harbor as students arrived to try out their latest creation, a canoe made by hand. The birch bark and other raw materials were all gathered from nature by students in the school board's satellite campus in Dryden. And with the help of the 11th and 12th grade classes at La Vérendrye, the canoe was ready to hit the water. It was launched successfully, and the canoe will now remain with the school board. And the students say it's a great feeling to know they're leaving behind a legacy.
It would be awesome to eventually, one day have kids and then they go to school and they see the canoe and I could just walk by and say, like 30 years ago I built this, and then they hop in it and they go bring it on the water and then I get back in it. I feel like it's not just the teaching of building it as a class, it's also knowing that it's going to be there for years of usage.
It feels great. It feels great because just to know that we built such a beautiful thing and that it'll be hung up in our school, and whenever we walk in we can say that we built it, it's really a special thing.
Throughout the 3-month building process, the students were encouraged to explore the deeper meaning of the details in the canoe and how they relate to Indigenous culture. Students also learned many valuable skills, such as leadership and team building, through various activities like leg wrestling. Métis canoe builder Christian Pilon helped guide the project and says the students grew a lot as they created this canoe.
I think like everything, there's a growth period and some hard spots, and then eventually it kind of just flourishes. And that's usually how it goes. They start off, they see nothing, and they go, yeah, right, the canoe. And by halfway point, they see the canoe, and they get really excited, and they really get involved.
This canoe will remain in the school and will be used in various programs for the next few years. With the massive success of this year's program, the school board is hopeful to bring it back again, but likely it won't be for another 5 years or so. Holden Dougal, TBT News.
A Thunder Bay woman who's been walking around Friendship Gardens for years says she's concerned about the current water levels in the ponds there, and she's worried the many baby ducks at the park need more water to swim in. During the last 2 weeks, ducklings have been seen frequently running around on land, while the parent ducks appear to be trying to shoo them back into the pond. The month of May saw very little rain in Thunder Bay. However, the ponds have water lines which allow City Park staff to control the water levels. Suzanne Darusha says she and other walkers who frequent the area feel the water levels are lower than usual.
I've been coming here to Friendship Gardens every day for a long time. And in the last week, I've noticed that the water in the ponds is declining, and that the vegetation that should be underwater is not, and the baby ducks are actually getting caught in there, thinking that this is a place they can go and they're safe. And I find that very concerning. I've called the city 4 times about this.
Parks and Open Spaces Manager Corey Halverson says the water level in this pond at Friendship Gardens was actually much higher than normal earlier this spring, and in fact, it's now back to normal for this time of year. Well, today is a great day to get out and about. It was very nice for a good little stroll.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day, lots of sunshine, just a few clouds. The winds kept it from feeling too warm, times a little brisk in some parts of the city, but it was just enough to keep everybody quite comfortable. We started off with a low of 10. We did warm up to 22. 21 is pretty much our sweet spot for this time of year. So really almost nailed it dead on, and that was with a little bit of increasing clouds. And as I said, a little gusty at times. We had winds up to 48 kilometers per hour this afternoon, but all in all, not a bad day, I would say. If we take a look at what's going on across the region, Thunder Bay, probably one of the sunnier spots today. We have had partly cloudy skies to the west, and just in the last hour or so, turning to a little bit more of a mostly cloudy condition, and temperatures a bit cooler, just 16 at this hour in Red Lake, 18 in Kenora, a mere 8 Celsius in Pickle Lake, and then things, I guess you could call it warming up to double digits, but still only 11 in both Armstrong and Greenstone. They've had a whole lot of cloud cover, and winds up to 45 km from the northwest, so some very chilly air hitting there. And along the North Shore, low teens, Sault Ste. Marie 17. They've had a lot of mist, and it's just been in the last 3 or 4 hours that it's transitioned to more of a mostly cloudy conditions. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we will see whatever lingering clouds we have this evening clear out overnight as we drop down to a low of 7, and winds will start out pretty gusty up to 50 km, and that will taper off down to about 20. And then as we head into the rest of the week, well, the next couple of days are going to be a little bit iffy temperature-wise, but the weekend is actually not looking too bad. It's going to be one of these off and on hit and miss situations for the next few days.
All right, thank you, Fiona.